amazing human beings coming together for one sole purpose to talk about the power of surrender, the power that can happen in your life when you actually step out and let God step in.
What up, everybody? How are y'all?
How are you? I was like, oh my gosh, I got to run to the bathroom. And then I go to the bathroom and my husband's in there. I'm like, get out, I gotta go. That's live TV, or like we're on live. So David, you just had an amazing event just a couple of weeks ago, but tell
Yep.
everybody where you're tuning in from.
I am tuning in from Franktown, Colorado.
Colorado. Nice, nice,
Yep.
nice. Love it there. And we've known each other for several years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been able to be there to support you, and you've been here to support me. And you know what? The one of the most impactful um moments is really when you sang in Niagara Falls. That
Yep.
moment, because that was pure vulnerability and you were totally in your emotions. And so tell us a little bit about a surrender moment in your life, because I'll tell you what, in just the years that we've known each other, it's like take your pick, man.
Yeah. And that's a complicated question because I have so many to pick from, to be honest with you. But lately, the one that I really had to surrender to was just opening up and being vulnerable and dealing with the fact, with the fact that I lost my brother, and that I'm coming up on the 7 year anniversary of his passing, which is always a complicated time for me,
Yeah.
which will be April 19th, 2018 is when we lost him.
Mhm.
And when he passed away, it rocked my world and crushed me. And that was I couldn't surrender back then, and I've been coming back to the faith in the last year, and then opening up more to talking to God and coming back and surrendering
Do
more,
you think it
embracing.
was because you were angry, or like, or was your faith strong beforehand, or was it just kind of like not really there and then anger? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
My faith was rock solid before I lost Joey, because
Okay.
I was always the heart patient in the family. I had open heart surgery in 1984, and then that got fixed, and then I had several ablations and cardioversions throughout my life, from the age of 22 to 24. And when he passed away from one heart event, I was pissed because he was never a heart issue patient before, 14-time Ironman finisher. And when God took him away from us, I just was like, what the hell? You gave me multiple chances, right? And he has one heart issue, and you take the man away that I look up to every day. And when that happened, I stopped talking to him. I stopped going to church, and I'm still in and out of church. I did get rebaptized last year. That was my pivoting moment when I was coming back to the faith, but I became so angry and
Mhm.
so bitter, that I wanted nothing to do with God because I didn't understand it. And that was when I isolated myself, not only from God, but from everybody that was in my corner. People here in Colorado bailed on me and stuff like that throughout the years, but I even bailed on the Unleash You Now family because I was angry. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to take my anger out on the Unleash You Now family. I didn't want them to see the type of anger that was coming out of me.
Mhm.
And when
Now,
I
were you aware that you were angry, or was it just through things that were happening?
I knew I was angry
Okay.
because when Joe died, I put myself on the back burner and I put everybody that was hurting ahead of me. And I never healed from it. And it all came to a head in 24. And I wouldn't open up even to people that are close to me.
Mhm.
And when that anger boiled up, I realized that I was never healing from it. And
Mhm.
that was the moment when I realized that I didn't heal from it. It will take the rest of my life, to learn how to live with this. But that's when I realized that God and I were on my part, was not on speaking terms with God.
Mm. And I love that you can put it that way, because that's what this whole thing is about, the realness of it all. Um, you know, we just talked about him being a friend. And
Mhm.
so now you're like, you're not my friend. I don't even like you right now. And that's real and rawness, you know?
Mhm.
So what were the baby steps to start, bringing that relationship back in your life? And I know you said like it's still kind of there. Like, where did you start, or what? Let me start with this question. What made you realize that that was a relationship that needed nurturing?
I realized that probably in June or July of last year, because in March of last year, I was at the mountaintop. I was pumped up. I was excited because I got to attend an amazing event that everybody's talked about, with Unleash You Now. And I was flying high. And then a month or two after that happened, I came tumbling down. And I was back in my base camp. And that's when I noticed my anger. I was flying off the handle. And I know that's not me. And when I realized that, and I was in the base camp of what I talk about, where the emotions were just all over the map, where I was snapping every single angle, right? The first step, I knew I needed to get right with God, because I've been a Christian since I was 17 years old. And I knew that the only way I could get started again with MBM and reconnecting with God and reconnecting with my brother was I needed to get rebaptized. And at the church I was going to at the time, that was the moment that I needed to do that. And the pastor and I even joked around saying, "How long can you hold your breath?" I said, "I can hold it for about 3 to 4 minutes. I used to be able to hold it for 6 minutes, but I started smoking cigars."
That's a long
So,
time, dude.
yeah. And so I was only under for like 2 or 3 minutes, and they pulled me out. And that was the beginning healing journey. And then I started embracing vulnerability. And then I started to share my story more. And I started working with more men to embrace the vulnerability and to get out of the shadows of the mountain, to open up and not be afraid to share your story. Because I'll be honest with you, Elena, 2 weeks ago, it's been a while since MBM has done anything on a virtual stage. And I was afraid to do that because I didn't trust my brain. But there is a dude with the red beard that encouraged me about a month ago to get out of my own way, and I did it. And I have no idea how the heck you do the 24-hour thon or how you do this thing. I was burnt like a toast by the end of that thing 2 weeks ago. But I was so grateful that I did it because it brought back a part of me that I've missed, that I buried down. And by doing that baptism, brought that part of me that was dormant for so long.
I love that. So how would you say that your relationship is today with your God?
With the God, he and I talk every single day like I do with my brother.
Mhm,
I pray for healing relationships in the home that I live because there's still some issues going on here.
mhm,
I'm not going to lie, I'm going through some challenges right now that have been daunting and overwhelming,
mhm,
but I know he's got control of it. And I'm going to follow the faith and I'm going to follow his lead. And we talk every single day, even when the anxiety and the nerves creep up.
mhm.
I instantly drop into prayer or I go take a hot shower.
Yeah, yeah.
And it feels like it's coming back. I've had to cut down some friendships here locally, and I don't do that quickly.
Mhm,
I do that by his lead, and I sleep on it for 24 hours. But I can feel like he's coming back into my heart that has been shutting people out, and more importantly, him for so long, and that I'm happier because there's a new beginnings happening in my life where I felt voiceless for so long. Now the voice is coming back where that I'll be shouting from the mountaintop that people don't even realize on this call that have known me for a number of years. You guys don't even know how loud I can get. I can rally James Mueller. You think that dude can get loud? I can get louder than him.
Well, I have to tell you, like, just now listening to you, like, I'm taken back to one of my first Christmas in July streamathons. Like, you've been a part of all these things that I've done, and you know, part of me feels like, how can we do better? And I don't know if there's a way, but how can we do better to identify in people that we care about that they're struggling in their relationship with God, because I wouldn't have really known you were that angry. I wouldn't have known, I mean, you pick me up from the airport, we go have like a cigar and, we're hanging out and whatever. So, like, this question is just surfacing because I want to reach across the screen and like hug you and be like, my dear friend, like, I didn't know you were carrying like all of that around all this time. So, what can we do for each other how do we identify that? Is there a way?
One of the things I've always prided myself is I'm direct and I can sense when things are going on. Just ask the question and say, hey, I have this feeling that something's going on with you. And just show that you love and care about them. And if they're being quiet or silent and you don't hear from them for like 2 or 3 days, I have a couple guys on my team now because I've completely revamped my whole team, and stuff like that. And when I don't hear from someone within 2 or 3 days, I reach out to them and say, hey, something's going on. Tell me what's going on. I know something's going on.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when they say everything's fine, I'm like, BS, something's going on. Tell me what's going on.
Mhm.
And when you do that, that shows the genuinity behind it. That shows the heart behind it. And when you know the person really well, like Michael Faber does with me, he
Mhm.
goes, dude, get your head out of your ass. I know something's going on. And he hits me in the side of the head with a 2x4, not literally, but metaphorically.
Right.
And Dave Chemansky says, get out of your own way. So when you get direct but you genuinely show the person that you love and care about them, and you just say, hey, I just want to check in with you and say, how are you doing lately in the last week or two?
Mhm.
That's when you can know that the person that you're serving or the client that you're serving, or even in your own family, that shows that you genuinely love and care about them without going, with some of the other coaches I've worked with outside of Michael Faber and the Unleash You Now family, all they care about is the dollar amount. But
Mhm.
when they genuinely want to know what's in your heart, that's when that would be more impactful.
Yes, that's gold right there. I love it. And I love that you were open about the fact that you're still working on the relationship, that the anger was there, because that's okay. Like,
Mhm.
people need to realize that just because we love God doesn't mean that it's like, we're all holier than all get out. Like, we all have our days,
Mhm.
So I love that fact that you're able to say, this is where I am right now. And we just continue to cover you in love. And it's good to see your face, man.
Yours as well, and I can't wait to see you guys in a couple weeks. Well, week and a half now
Yeah.
in Nashville.
Yay! I'm excited. I'll give you a big old hug. So,
Oh, wait.
thanks for sharing with us this afternoon. Esther says he understands our emotions, including anger. Amen. That is for
Yes.
sure. And he probably just shakes his head at us saying, get out, like, I already know what's on the other side. So just get do
Or
your
he does
thing.
it a line from Back to the Future. Hello, McFly, something like that. Anyways, thank you so much, Elena.
All right. Love you, David. Thanks.
Love you
Then we're
too.
going to bring